Hey everybody, welcome back to Football Talk with Vinny. In today's video, we're obviously going to be talking about the Rams. So obviously now with about 10 days before the Super Bowl starts, I was so far have a chance to still be correct on my prediction that the Rams were going to win the Super Bowl. And obviously now that they're in the Super Bowl, whether they win or lose, it I believe, justifies just the process that they have taken. And obviously you could tell the process they've taken based on the title of the video, Fuck Them Draft Picks. Obviously this was kind of popular, I think last off season, where I think the GM, I want to say Les Snead, got a mug from his daughter or something that just said, Fuck Them Draft Picks. But obviously I think most GMs and most organizations don't run their organizations this way, right? They value draft picks. They value stockpiling picks, trading off older veteran players for picks. But I do think it's a good idea to maybe reevaluate the way that a lot of teams go about the business of building a championship team. Because if you look at what the Rams did, they did not acquire like veterans in the sense of older players, right? You got Jalen Ramsey, who was like 24, 25 at the time you acquired him. He was an all-pro, one of the best corners in the game in the prime of his career. Sure, Matt Stafford was in his 30s, but he's in his early 30s. And as a quarterback, that's literally when you are in your prime, because usually it takes you a couple years to kind of learn NFL defenses. Most quarterbacks play better in their early 30s than they do at any point in their career. Maybe not in the olden days, but you look at over the last 15, 20 years, most quarterbacks have their best seasons right around that 30-year-old mark. And I think it is a good way to build a team because, again, you're not acquiring one-year players. You're acquiring a guy like Jalen who's going to be on your roster for the next 6, 7+ years, and a guy like Stafford who's also going to be on your roster for the next 6, 7+ years. And I think the benefit to doing these trades is you are guaranteeing yourself a good NFL player, where I know if you've watched my videos in the past, I talk about it all the time. I had one video specifically on it, where the success rate of a first-round pick, regardless of which number it is about 50%. You go and look back at the past 10 to 20 first overall picks, just the very first overall pick, you'll probably find about 5 to 10 of them that were either very bad, or maybe about 5 that were very bad and out of the league, but another 5 that did not live up to anywhere close to the hype of the #1 overall pick. So again, even with the very first overall pick, the success rate is about 50%. And if you extend it even further, like I did in the video, and I said, just Google any draft year you want that's at least 5, 6 years old. You Google any draft year, you just read off the list of the 32 overall picks that were picked in the first round, and about half of them are below average to out of the league already. And if you do this with a draft class that's 15+ years old, where most players are out of the league, just go and look. It'll show you usually, depending on which site you're on, how many Pro Bowls that player made, how many All-Pros, right? There'll be a different color. So if you were to do that, you'll see that about half, if not more, don't even make a single Pro Bowl, but that's not what you're expecting out of a first-round pick. Funny, I'm going to use the Rams here actually as the example. Sure, you could be lucky and fortunate to draft a guy like Aaron Donald, who is the greatest defensive player probably in the history of the league. He's won 3 or 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, could potentially win it this year, probably won't because, a lot of people just get tired of voting the same player, but an argument could be made that he could be the Defensive Player of the Year again. But sure, we want to draft these players that become all pros and Pro Bowlers, but again, we have to also understand and accept that you are going to be wrong about half the time as well, which means there's a 50% chance you could draft a bust that is terrible and doesn't even make the roster or doesn't play well. Now, I think with the way that the NFL is the talent level is very close between the top and bottom teams. I don't think it's as big of a gap as most people realize it is, right? And we're seeing that this year. A team like Cincinnati went from a 4-12 team to now in the Super Bowl, right? So I think that kind of even furthers my point that since the talent gap is so evenly close, the fact that you could trade potentially 2 first-round picks and get a guy like Jalen Ramsey, right, who is going to be a good player for the next couple years, right, and trading for a guy like Matthew Stafford, who is going to be a good quarterback for the next couple of years, right? To me, it's a no-brainer. Just really to further that point, right, the Rams do not pick until 2024 in the first round. But if you take a look back at all the first rounders they've traded, let's just do some research. Obviously, in 2016, they traded their 2016 first round pick and the 2017 pick, along with some other picks, to move up to number 1 to draft Jared Goff. That was their last first overall pick in 2016. So obviously in 2017, they traded that pick away. That pick went on to be Isaiah Wynn, which he is I think he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler now with the New England Patriots. So obviously a very good pick. But then you look at the 2019 first round pick that they traded Atlanta, and that trade was more of like a swap, so to speak. They traded the 31st overall pick and the 203rd overall pick, so a first and a 6th rounder. And in return, they got a 2nd and a 3rd. So they really just moved back about 14 spots, and they picked up a 3rd rounder. But again, the Atlanta Falcons used that on Caleb McGarry, a tackle, who again has not made a Pro Bowl. And then you look at their last 2 picks. The last 2 first rounders, which is what they gave up for Jalen Ramsey. So Jacksonville, for giving up Jalen Ramsey, a top 5 corner, arguably the number 1 corner, but a top 5 corner, inarguably, I think. To give him up, they have gotten K'Lavon Chaisson and Travis Etienne. One who did not play this season, and the other who's been just kind of okay in his 2 years. Now, obviously, we're going to see what the Detroit Lions are going to get from the Matthew Stafford trade. But at this point, this first overall pick is going to be at 31 or 32, right? Because the way it works is based on how you advance in the playoffs. So if they win the Super Bowl, the Lions get the 32nd overall pick. If they lose the Super Bowl, the Lions get the 31st overall pick. So again, over the next 2 seasons, we'll see what they turn those players into. But it's probably not going to be anywhere close to what you're going to get for Stafford. Yes, you could hit on a pick, and it could be a multiple-time Pro Bowler and an All-Pro at their position, right? And then you could justify trading Stafford. Now, obviously, you don't need to justify trading Stafford. You are in a complete rebuild mode, right? And I think if you are a team like the Detroit Lions, you absolutely should look to rebuild. And by rebuilding, I mean using younger players and draft picks. But if you are most teams, actually, that are trying to compete for a playoff spot / Super Bowl, I don't think that the way that the Rams run their organization is bad, and I think more teams should do it, right? Let's look at a team like the Eagles, right, for example, right? They just made the playoffs. They have 3 first-round picks this season. If they were to package those picks to get a couple of players, whether it be a quarterback or a couple other positional players that are like the best at their position, right, like the Rams have done with their picks, I don't see how that would not help the Eagles organization get better, not only for the near future of this season or next season coming up, but also the next 4, 5, 6 seasons. So obviously, you guys know who I'm going to be rooting for in the Super Bowl. Have to hope that the Rams win. A, I put money on them when the season started, but also B, just for this channel, that I had predicted that the Rams were going to win, and obviously right now that is a chance to be a reality, so we'll see. But again, I just wanted to make this quick video since they are in the Super Bowl about just how a lot of teams, I think, should actually learn from the model that the Rams have gone through and say, draft picks aren't as valuable as we think they are, because while, yes, you could hit a generational talent, there is that chance, and a very good chance at that you could draft a player that is below average at the position you drafted them in, and to waste a first-round pick on a below-average talent player is not really what you're looking for. So that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe, as it does help out the channel. So I look forward to the Super Bowl, and the off season obviously is where most of my content is going to be coming from, just from, free agency, right? Franchise tags and all that stuff. This is kind of the part that I love making the videos on. Obviously, when the regular season's on, you just make it about the games and you just watch the games. But the off season is really where most of my content comes in. But again, I'm looking forward to the offseason. Obviously, a little sad there was only 1 game left in the season, right? It's always tough when football season ends, but definitely looking forward to the offseason and updating you guys on just offseason moves and trades. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.